Imagine a land untouched by European footsteps. A land of towering forests, vast plains, and sparkling rivers. This was the North America that greeted the first humans who crossed the Bering Land Bridge thousands of years ago. These early explorers, ancestors of today's Native Americans, spread across the continent. They adapted to diverse environments, from the icy Arctic to the arid deserts of the Southwest. They learned to live in harmony with nature, respecting the land and its resources. This deep connection to the environment became a cornerstone of their cultures and beliefs. Over centuries, they thrived, establishing intricate societies and developing unique traditions. From the elaborate totem poles of the Pacific Northwest to the sophisticated irrigation systems of the Southwest, their ingenuity and resilience were evident. These were not simply scattered tribes, but nations with their own governments, languages, and spiritual practices. The story of America, often told as beginning with Columbus, in reality stretches back millennia before his arrival. It is a story that deserves to be heard, understood, and honored. Who were these first Americans? They were a people of remarkable diversity, speaking hundreds of distinct languages and developing a wide range of cultural practices. In the East, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, known as the Iroquois Confederacy to Europeans, formed a powerful alliance of 6 nations. Their system of governance, based on consensus and respect for the voices of women, influenced the framers of the United States Constitution. In the Southwest, the Pueblo people built impressive multi-story dwellings from adobe bricks, creating thriving communities that have endured for centuries. Their pottery, weaving, and intricate religious ceremonies reflected a deep connection to their ancestors and the natural world. On the Great Plains, nomadic tribes like the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Comanche followed vast herds of bison. Their lives were intertwined with the movements of these magnificent creatures, providing food, clothing, and shelter. These are just a few glimpses into the rich tapestry of Native American life that existed long before the arrival of Europeans. Each tribe, each nation, had its own unique story to tell, adding to the complex and fascinating history of the first Americans. From the dense forests of the East to the Pacific coastline, Native American cultures flourished. They developed sophisticated agricultural techniques, mastered the art of hunting and fishing, and created stunning works of art. Their stories, passed down through generations, celebrated their history, honored their ancestors, and taught important moral lessons. Their dances and ceremonies, often deeply spiritual in nature, connected them to the rhythms of the earth and the cosmos. Their understanding of the natural world, honed over centuries of observation, led to the development of herbal remedies and a profound respect for the delicate balance of nature. The story of the American Indians is not a monolith. It is a tapestry woven from countless threads, each representing a unique culture, language, and history. To understand the complete story, we must explore this tapestry, embracing its diversity and acknowledging the profound impact these cultures have had on the land we now call America. Before the arrival of Europeans, the land that is now the United States echoed with a symphony of languages. Hundreds of distinct tongues, each with its own unique grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation, painted a vibrant linguistic landscape. From the complex verb structures of the Navajo language to the sing-song cadence of the Cherokee, these languages were not merely tools of communication, but expressions of cultural identity. They reflected the ways in which different tribes understood the world around them, their relationships to the natural world, and their spiritual beliefs. The Cherokee syllabary, a remarkable writing system developed by Sequoyah in the early 19th century, demonstrates the sophistication and ingenuity of Native American languages. Sadly, many of these languages have faced endangerment or extinction due to the devastating impacts of colonization. However, there is a growing movement to revive and preserve these linguistic treasures, recognizing their importance not only for Native American communities, but for the cultural heritage of the entire nation. Each language saved is a victory, a testament to the resilience of these cultures and the enduring power of the spoken word. Section 2. The power of the spoken word. In Native American cultures, language held a sacred power. It was through words that stories were passed down, traditions were maintained, and spiritual beliefs were expressed. Oral storytelling, a vibrant tradition in many tribes, served as a way to preserve history, impart moral lessons, and connect with the spirit world. Elders, revered for their wisdom and knowledge, played a crucial role in transmitting cultural knowledge to younger generations. Languages were not seen as static, but rather as living entities, constantly evolving and adapting to changing circumstances. The arrival of Europeans, while devastating in many ways, also led to the development of new words and phrases as Native Americans sought to describe the unfamiliar objects, concepts, and experiences brought by the newcomers. This adaptability is a testament to the resilience of these languages and their ability to evolve while still retaining their essential character. Today, efforts to revitalize endangered languages often focus on creating new speakers, ensuring that these languages continue to be spoken and passed down to future generations. Carry the weight and significance of 1492. It marked a turning point, a collision of worlds that would forever alter the course of human events. In that year, an Italian explorer named Christopher Columbus embarked on a daring voyage into the vast unknown. His journey, fraught with uncertainty and danger, would have profound and lasting consequences. His voyage, a testament to human curiosity and the spirit of exploration, would also become a symbol of the complex encounter between Europe and the indigenous peoples of the Americas. displacement. Columbus's arrival in the Americas unleashed a wave of change that would sweep across two continents. His voyages opened the floodgates to European exploration, colonization, and exploitation of the Americas. Spanish conquistadors, driven by a lust for gold and silver, followed in his wake, bringing with them disease, slavery, and warfare.
The introduction of European diseases such as smallpox, measles, and influenza, to which Native Americans had no immunity, decimated indigenous populations. Entire villages were wiped out, their cultures and traditions extinguished.
The forced labor of Native Americans, under brutal conditions in mines and on plantations, further fueled the European hunger for wealth and power. The encounter also led to an exchange of plants, animals, and ideas between the Old World and the New. Horses, cattle, pigs, and wheat, brought from Europe, transformed the landscapes and lifestyles of the Americas. Corn, potatoes, tomatoes, and chocolate, native to the Americas, were introduced to Europe, enriching diets and transforming agriculture. Yet, this exchange, while seemingly beneficial, was often one-sided, with European diseases and exploitation far outweighing the benefits of new crops and technologies for indigenous populations. From the moment Columbus set foot in the New World, a clash of worlds was inevitable. The arrival of Europeans upended the delicate balance of life in the Americas. Native Americans soon realized the threat to their way of life. Tentative encounters quickly escalated into conflict. The clash ignited a firestorm of resistance that would rage for centuries. The initial wave of European conquest in the Americas was met with fierce resistance from indigenous populations. From the Caribbean islands, where the Taino people rose up against Spanish oppression, to the southeastern forests of North America, where the Powhatan Confederacy challenged English encroachment, Native Americans fought back against the invaders. These early acts of defiance, often fueled by a desperate desire to protect their families and homelands, demonstrated the courage and resilience of indigenous peoples.
They employed a variety of tactics, from guerrilla warfare and strategic alliances to sabotage and diplomacy, to resist European domination. In the face of superior weaponry and unfamiliar diseases, Native Americans displayed remarkable ingenuity and adaptability. They learned to exploit the terrain to their advantage, using their knowledge of forests, rivers, and mountains to ambush their enemies and evade capture.
Despite facing overwhelming odds, they refused to surrender their freedom and their way of life, inspiring future generations with their unwavering spirit of resistance. These early struggles, though often overshadowed by later conflicts, planted the seeds of defiance that would continue to blossom for centuries to come. Section 3. The Price of Freedom: Battles and Massacres. The struggle for control of the Americas was a bloody and brutal affair.
From the Pueblo Revolt of 1680 to the King Philip's War of 1675 to 1676, the price of freedom was often paid in blood. The Pequot War of 1636 to 1638, which culminated in the Mystic Massacre, saw English colonists and their Native American allies slaughter hundreds of Pequot men, women, and children.
The Sand Creek Massacre of 1864, in which Colorado militia attacked a peaceful village of Cheyenne and Arapaho, killing over 150 people, mostly women and children, stands as a chilling reminder of the brutality and injustice that characterized this era. Section 4. Shifting Alliances and the Struggle for Survival. As European powers vied for control of the Americas, Native American tribes found themselves caught in a web of shifting alliances.
Recognizing the threat posed by these newcomers, many tribes sought to play European powers against each other, forging alliances with the French, British, Spanish, or Dutch in hopes of preserving their own autonomy.
While alliances with Europeans sometimes offered a temporary reprieve from encroachment or protection from rival tribes, they ultimately proved to be a double-edged sword.
Despite the challenges and betrayals they faced, Native Americans continued to navigate this complex geopolitical landscape, seeking to preserve their cultures and their existence in a world increasingly dominated by European powers. Section 5. A Legacy of Resistance. The struggle for Native American rights and recognition did not end with the westward expansion of the United States.
From the ghost dance movement of the late 19th century to the occupation of Alcatraz Island in 1969, Native Americans have persistently fought for their rights and their heritage.
The struggle for self-determination continues today as Native American tribes fight for greater control over their lands, resources, and destinies.
The story of Native American resistance is a testament to the enduring strength and resilience of indigenous peoples.
By remembering and honoring the struggles of the past, we can work towards a future where Native American voices are heard, their rights are respected, and their cultures continue to thrive for generations to come. The mid-17th century marked a turning point in the relationship between Native Americans and European colonists.
Land dispossession, forced assimilation, and broken treaties fueled resentment and sparked a new wave of resistance across the eastern woodlands.
The old ways of life, the rhythms of hunting, fishing, and farming, were being disrupted by the newcomers' insatiable hunger for land and resources.
These uprisings, often led by charismatic leaders who embodied the spirit of resistance, challenged the very foundations of colonial power and forced Europeans to confront the consequences of their actions.
The struggle for control of the eastern woodlands was about to enter a new and bloody chapter. In 1675, the simmering tensions between the Wampanoag people and English colonists in New England erupted into a full-scale war.
At the forefront of the Wampanoag resistance stood Metacomet, known to the English as King Philip.
What began as a series of raids and skirmishes quickly escalated into a brutal and bloody conflict that raged across New England for over a year.
The war, characterized by its ferocity and its devastating impact on both Native American and colonial communities, exposed the raw underbelly of the colonial encounter.
King Philip's War, a defining moment in the history of New England, shattered the myth of peaceful coexistence between colonists and Native Americans. The late 17th and early 18th centuries witnessed a wave of uprisings that swept across the eastern woodlands.
While Bacon's rebellion was ultimately crushed, it exposed the deep divisions within colonial society and the growing resentment towards Native Americans.
Further south, in the Carolinas, the Yamasee War of 1715 to 1717 saw a powerful confederacy of Native American tribes rise up against English traders and colonists.
Their rebellion, which shook the Carolina colony to its core, highlighted the precarious nature of colonial power and the constant threat of indigenous resistance.
These uprisings shared a common thread, a deep-seated anger at the injustices inflicted upon Native Americans and a determination to reclaim their lost lands and freedoms. The French and Indian War, a pivotal conflict that raged across North America from 1754 to 1763, marked a turning point in the history of Native American resistance.
Many Native American tribes, recognizing the threat posed by British expansionism, allied themselves with the French, who had a longer history of relatively peaceful coexistence with indigenous peoples.
The British, eager to consolidate their control over their newly acquired lands, implemented policies that further encroached upon Native American territories, sparking new waves of resistance. The French and Indian War, while a victory for British imperial ambitions, marked the beginning of the end for Native American independence in the eastern woodlands. The stage was set for a new era of conflict and displacement as Native Americans faced the daunting task of resisting the westward expansion of a young and ambitious nation, the United States of America. The story of Native Americans in the modern era is one of resilience in the face of ongoing challenges to their sovereignty. Treaties, often negotiated under duress and frequently broken throughout history, continue to be a source of contention, as tribes fight to protect their treaty rights to land, water, and resources. The legacy of forced assimilation policies, such as the Indian Removal Act of 1830 and the boarding school era of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, continues to cast a long shadow on tribal communities. Despite these challenges, Native American tribes have persevered, fighting tirelessly to protect their sovereignty, revitalize their cultures, and achieve self-determination. Tribes are granted a degree of self-governance, with the power to establish their own laws, maintain their own courts, and elect their own leaders. Unemployment, and health disparities compared to other racial and ethnic groups in the United States. Despite these obstacles, Native American communities are working to create a brighter future, focusing on economic development, language revitalization, and the preservation of their rich cultural heritage for generations to come. Section 3. The Fight for Self-Determination, Challenges and Opportunities.
Tribes are increasingly asserting their right to control their own destinies, seeking greater autonomy over their lands, resources, and governments.
This movement for self-determination encompasses a wide range of issues, from the protection of sacred sites and the revitalization of traditional knowledge to the development of sustainable economies and the pursuit of justice for past wrongs.
However, many tribes are taking innovative approaches to address these challenges, investing in renewable energy projects, developing tourism industries, and pursuing opportunities in gaming and other sectors.
These efforts, driven by a spirit of self-reliance and a commitment to creating a brighter future for their communities, offer hope for a more prosperous and equitable future for Native Americans. Commitment to creating a world where all cultures are respected, all voices are heard, and all people have the opportunity to thrive.